To unpack this a bit more further for us, we're now joined by Elton Hart, attorney at the UJoy Law Clinics, and he joins us now via our video link. Elton, always a pleasure talking to you here on the late edition. Let's touch on, the report we've just seen today coming out from Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. It was his final report as the head of the judiciary in South Africa before he retires. What do you make of the overall report?
No, if one looks at the overall report, it seems like a lot of things has improved, but also there's still a lot of challenges that lies ahead. And obviously, it's not challenges that can be resolved by the judiciary. Sometimes it's things that's coming from the executive and also from the legislative spheres of government that impacts on the doings and the working of the judiciary, and that's something that's beyond the control of the judicial officers and the judiciary as a whole. But generally speaking, I think things has improved, but I still feel there's a lot of things that can be done and be done better to actually make sure that people have access to justice, but also justice is accessible to everybody when it comes to the sphere of government.
And Mr. Hart, because, considering this was Zondo's final report to the country and a report back on the matters of the judiciary, one would ask, when we look at his legacy, for you, what stands out the most when we speak of Chief Justice Raymond Zondo?
Obviously, jokingly, I would say the one thing that's like on everybody's mind in South Africa is the Zondo Commission and the findings of the Zondo Commission. And for me, it's like one of those things, like, I don't think the Chief Justice at this point in time had a long tenure as a CJ so that he could actually implement and imprint. He had a very short stint where he could actually implement and imprint what he wanted to see. But obviously, he was the DCJ at some stage, so he had some influence on it. So, and you can see he wanted courts to run a little bit more smoother, try out to iron out some of the difficulties, also in lowering the number of complaints that judicial officers is sometimes entangled in. So you could see in his tenure, where he was now the CJ, that there was a number of complaints that was made, but also dealt with effectively, and the complaints also reduced with judges. But also in Gauteng, we still have a lot of complaints against judges, but it's close to home for him, but he has dealt with it significantly.
And, touching on state capture, because that's the one thing, highlighted the most when I asked you the question about his legacy. And, what do you make of his contributions in terms of state capture and trying to root out corruption in this country? That is a report that will be with us for the rest of our lives. And when it comes to that contribution that the Chief Justice has made, what do you make of it?
No, indeed, but I think the commission, where he sat on the commission, I think that was just like sort of half a drop in the ocean. There's still a lot of things that's untoward, that is still happening with our taxpayers' monies, and there was a lot of things that happened with our taxpayers' monies, and I think he was just scratching the surface, and obviously the NPA needs sort of evidence. He is sort of have given them leads. That's not really concrete evidence that got out of there, because you have some witness evidence testimonies, but you still need to test them and see if it's accurate, because in the court of law it works a little bit different. But I think he sort of have opened this door to say, guys, let's not sit with our eyes closed and our bodies idle. We should actually be starting to dig and find the evidence to actually root out this evil that's in our society. And I think people are more aware that they are being watched for their blatant corruption and underhanded activities. And I think that was, yes, we spend a lot of money on the State Capture Commission, but it was something for the greater good of the country so that we can move into the right direction.
Also looking at what transpired today, and one cannot really ignore it, is of course the question to the Chief Justice Raymond Zondo when it comes to the judiciary being captured. That's something that he spoke about a lot in his tenure. It's also coming to him, when it comes to whether he has been captured, something that he also refused to touch on. What do you make of, as much as we talk about state capture, but we also talk about this cloud that hangs over him, also because of his relationship with former President Jacob Zuma and what transpired at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry when the former president refused to stand before Chief Justice Raymond Zondo?
No, indeed. remember Chief Justice Zondo, he was a judge, and I think he was then the the DCJ when former President Zuma was the president of the country. And obviously, I think just out of the positions that they held in their respective capacities, there should have been an interaction. And I believe that what then played out in the public, that he says, okay, he would be biased in sitting and hearing his matters. I think if I was the Chief Justice or the DCJ at that stage of time, I would like recuse myself from all these matters where the former president is involved, and actually sort of let somebody else, an additional judge or judges, deal with the matter. But obviously that cloud would be hanging there, and obviously even I hear Cordy talk, then some people would say that Chief Justice Zondo was actually sent after former President Zuma in the Zondo Commission to actually put state capture at the door of the former president. And I think that's actually sort of highlighted the animosity that was between the two of them, and also sort of have muddied the image of the judiciary to say that there's a possibility that our judiciary is also captured. But I think the judiciary has stood the test of time, that we came out with judgments because there was judgment that was against the former president. And lately we saw also that with the MK party and going to court, they also got judgments in their favor. So you can't really say that they were unfair. They were looking at the law and interpreting the law. So then that cloud which is there, one can say, but there's other judgments that can say, but that should not be a cloud that's hanging over the judiciary.
And the Chief Justice term comes to an end on the 31st of August. We will be having a new Chief Justice, and the first female in our country, Justice Maya. When you look at that handover from Justice Raymond Zondo, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo to Justice Maya, do you think it will be an easy handover? On top of that, looking at the report that came out today, what do you think the new Chief Justice should focus on to improve the country's courts?
No, indeed, I think the handover to Justice Maya would be a smooth transition. Remember, she was the president of the Supreme Court of Appeal, which is the biggest appeal court in the country, which is the busiest court in the country, if it's not of constitutional nature. And she handled that court for a period of 15 years. So this terrain where she finds herself in is not something new. Obviously, the challenges, I mean, there is certain challenges, but I think it would not be new because she was sitting in a managerial position when she was at the SCA. So these issues that was hitting the judiciary was also hitting her. So it's not something that would be new, like load shedding, losing court time, maybe bad infrastructure, also a number of judges delaying with their judgments, all these types of things. So it's not something that will be new for her. And I think she is more than capable of actually just taking the baton and actually finishing the race in style, because I have seen her leadership qualities over the years, and I believe we're going to just go from strength to strength with her at the helm.
All right. Thank you so much, Elton, for your time this evening. That's Elton Hart. He is from the UJ Law Clinics, just giving us his insight there when it comes to that report we saw today, the final report being conducted by Chief Justice Raymond Zondo.